Welcome to the Driving the World podcast series. I'm your host, Cully Holland. Today we have Austin Burdette, a product manager in our heavy industrial gearing division, and we'll be discussing our 3D scanning solutions and capabilities. Hey, Austin, how you doing?
Doing great, Coley. How are you, man?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us again. So today we're going to be talking about our 3D scanning solutions and capabilities in our heavy industrial gearing portfolio and kind of the field. And on the table, for those of us just listening, we have a pretty cool looking camera style thing I'm sure we're going to talk about, and actually a little profile of some gear teeth. So before we dive into that, let's start off with what is the 3D scanning solution and why are they kind of, hanging out?
Absolutely. I think that's a great place to start, Coley. So, what is this 3D scanner? Again, like you said, people just listening in might not be able to see it, but if you can see it, this 3D scanner on the table is an actual 3D scanner that we use in our HIG department. It looks a bit like Wall-E, the little droid character,
Yeah,
right?
it does.
Yeah, from Disney. So this is a really cool piece of tech that I'm excited to talk about. It's a great new addition to our toolbox, if you will, at HIG. So what is a 3D scanner? So basically, you're just digitally recording a physical object, and you're picking out its shape, its dimensions, texture, and even colors, which is really neat. And what we're really looking at mostly is the dimensions, right? So when it comes to these big gearbox designs, a lot of times customers have had these competitor boxes in use for like 30, 40, 50 years, right? So we need to collect dimensional information on the components they have installed at their application, and we need to fit our solution and design our solution to fit and install as easy as possible. So to figure out those unknowns, like for example, an old motor that has a really funky custom frame size, or maybe some existing foundation bolt holes and things like that, then we'll be able to use this 3D scanner to digitally capture that object there.
All right, so you're saying dimensions kind of fitting in a quote unquote drop in kind of scenario. So I'm looking at it. It looks pretty fancy. It looks like it can definitely do the job. But are we just getting general dimensions and do you get it from like one viewpoint, one quick picture and it's done? Or is there some space around the unit that we need to work? And kind of how precise is it? How much can we really lean on this technology to help us out?
Absolutely. So we have different 3D scanning solutions. So this is our most mobile option, right? So some of the ones we have you wouldn't want to put on top of the table. It's more of an in-house thing where you could ship us your component, like maybe a big external pinion or some sort of special shaft or output flange, that sort of thing. And then we could scan that with a more accurate scanner. But this little guy that looks like Wall-E is still pretty accurate. So we're looking at fractions of a millimeter. So it's perfect for getting like maybe a girth gear guard scan or like some foundation holes, that sort of thing, out in the field. You don't need to hook it up to power. It just has a onboard battery pack. So super handy little guy to have for sure for like field cases. And then we do have some more accurate ones that are even smaller fractions of a millimeter that we have in house.
I mean, we're talking fractions of a millimeter, so that is already blowing my mind with just how accurate we can get even with this mobile technology. So we're verifying these components and we're trying to help utilize this for a drop-in scenario. Have we done this or is it kind of just an idea?
Sure, absolutely. We've definitely done it. So we have over 20 scans, even just on this little guy out in the field. So great success with that. We've had several actual orders be awarded from this scan, which is really cool to see on the sales side of things. And the designers really love it too, because they're able to take that digitized file, like the model of that object, and then place it into our CAD system. And they're able to design around that. So they really, really appreciate it for sure.
So we're getting more than just dimensions. We're actually getting software files that we can drop into design, softwares we're using in a day-to-day basis and actually fit it in and get a visual representation. So that's really cool. I'm looking here. You brought these gear teeth. There we have a little 3D printout of 3 gear teeth here. So what are they? Are they just here to kind of look pretty, or is there a story that goes along with them?
Right. They're SEW red, right? So there is actually a story that goes along with this. Really excited to share a success story. Like you asked a great question, have you guys actually done this yet? So answer, absolutely yes. And just to share with you one of the many stories we have, this is the one I chose to share because I was actually there. So flew up to Ohio, got to work on this really cool rotating kiln. Where the customer had a girth gear around this kiln and then an external pinion gear and a pinion shaft, right, into a competitor gearbox. And at the time, the customer just wanted us to help them replace the pinion gear and then also the pinion shaft. And so we said, absolutely, we'll come help you. So we flew up there and were able to deploy a 3D scanner and then scan the parts and then send them to our design group. And they were able to analyze the scan, which is like a big, massive point cloud file. And then they analyze that and condense it down into a surface model. And then we were able to send that surface model file to our facility in Germany called Kaba Blend, which is a really great facility that we purchased just, I think, a couple years ago. They do a lot of custom gearing work for us. So they're able to design and machine everything there and then send it back to SEW USA. Then we ship it to the customer.
So I just want to clarify, because that is absolutely fascinating to me. And at the end of it, you said they were able to just send it and ship it back to us. And when we're talking about it, we are talking about an actual girth gear pinion, an actual shaft that we scanned and made a brand new drop-in replacement for.
Correct. Exactly right. Yeah, so it was the girth gear pinion gear and also the pinion shaft. And this 3D print that I have in red there is the actual gearing profile of that pinion gear.
That is astounding. The fact that we can go out into the field, get these dimensions, get the software files, and then work with our German colleagues, and we're actually going to be able to print brand new gearing and be able to help our customers out. So if that's not a success story, I don't really know what is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really great. We can definitely machine a lot of amazing gearing here at SEW, right? Being the world leader in that. And I thought it was really, really neat to be able to see the 3D scanning deployed in that way. Like I said earlier, it definitely helps the designers out a lot.
Oh, for sure. So I'm happy. I know a lot more about our 3D scanning solutions and capabilities, but just in case, is there anything we missed or any other little details you'd like to share with our listeners out there about what we can do or anything on our 3D scanning technology?
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll just close out by saying to our customers, right? Please reach out to us if you have any questions. If you think of a 3D scanning solution, maybe you don't have a drawing or a model of a component, and you're trying to fit a gearbox or motor into that solution, we can definitely help you out with that. So please just reach out. Never hesitate to. We're happy to help you out, and we have the expertise to back it up as well. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing and joining us today, Austin.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coley.